Hello guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Unitas Games, and today we're going to be going over a game that just released a day ago and has already hooked me into its full ability of its story within the first 5 minutes of the game. It is called The Ghost of Tsushima, and so far it is one of the best games that I have played in a long time. So obviously I try to leave some of the spoilers out of the game in this video, but some of them are actually part of the story in the beginning of the game, and just a few things that I want to talk about before I get straight into the video and stuff that I want to talk about it. I've played the game for about 2 hours right now, and I've logged 2 hours into the game, and I've gotten pretty decent length into the game and whatnot. And let me tell you, it is one of the best combat experiences I've had in a while. It's not as difficult as Sekiro, and it's not as easy as Sekiro either, if that makes any sense. So, because Sekiro is not easy at all. But the combat experience in here is actually quite decent. And I'm trying to leave, as I said, I'm trying to leave as many spoilers as possible out of the gameplay that's playing in the background. But just a warning, if you guys have any, this is a spoiler warning, so if anybody has not been able to play the beginning of the game or anything like that, this warning is for any of you guys who want to play the game and not have any spoilers happen. So, but pretty much I'm going to be doing a side mission in this game, as well as showing off some of the beauty of the game and just everything about it that I could possibly say. So let's get straight into it, guys. So to start off of the game, I'm going to start out on after the beginning portion of the game, which we see pretty much, our character lose the battle and whatnot, and along with his uncle and his other lord. So right now he has bandaged up and he has to go to this town, and you kind of start out in a stealthy area, so it's not too bad. So it's kind of a decent way to learn the mechanics of the game, and I like it when games do this, when they try to help you learn the mechanics of the game as slowly as possible, instead of having you right into the action. Not that Dark Souls and Sekiro didn't do that very well, masterfully, I might say, but this game kind of leads you into the game going forward. It brings you into the story and introduces the characters they're going to be talking about throughout the story, and it actually works really, really well. So I kind of applaud Sucker Punch Games for punching that into my mind. And personally, picking up supplies, going through houses, as you see here, it's a free world game. In the beginning of the game, it doesn't really seem like to be a free roam game, but it's just a tutorial area, basically. So it really is. After a while, you figure out about the free roam and everything. But I'll go to another part later and show you guys that in fact, if you pre-order the game and you got the digital deluxe edition, you'll get a digital deluxe horse, which is probably one of the best things I think I've ever seen in my life. And it's actually pretty great. So pretty much, as you see here in the background, you get introduced to, he wants to help, but he can't because it have his sword, so you have to go find his sword. And then you get the help of right here, and she is possibly one of the great characters that I've honestly seen for the past 2 hours. She's very interesting. They introduced her really, really well, and I'm excited to hear about what her story is. So one of the things I think I have to applaud a lot of games for, such as the Star Wars game, Fallen Order. I love it when they go back in time and they talk about their past, and like memory, like items with items that they connect themselves with, and this game does no different. And it's not a bad thing, believe me. Trust me, it's not a bad thing at all. And you see, I'm moving through this house to look for a sword, and you find his sword, and we get a flashback to where he's with his uncle after his father died, which you'll find later that his father ended up dying, and he feels like it's his fault. And it's a lot of story that they're bringing together, and I love it when games do this, such as Fallen Order, because it puts an impact on how your character is, and exactly how much they've grown and how much you're going to grow with the character. And I just love it when games do that way. Because Fallen Order, great thing they did with the Order 66. Because for one, people want, us as people wanted to live through that, and now we get to finally see him growing up, kind of growing up with the practice, as in, he's not always been the samurai. He used to be a learner at one point, and now he's this master. And another thing that I have to talk about is just the leaves and everything in this sequence is probably one of my most favorite sequences I have ever looked at. Look at this. It looks freaking magnificent. And now I play this on the 4K HDR TV, and let me tell you, I can't record it at 4K HD, unfortunately, yet, but it's still in 1080p. Look at that. It is so gorgeous. They literally did everything in their power to make this game look as good as they possibly could. And I gotta tell you, I am not disappointed. And this sequence right here of the memory is probably my most fondest moment of this game so far. It's brilliant, it's beautiful, and the way the storytelling is kind of, getting connected with his uncle as well as your main character is honestly one of the most important parts, I think, inside of a video game. You connect to the people, you connect to the emotions, and you connect to the story, and you connect to the gameplay. That's honestly, my opinion, what makes the game good. And this game right here, I'm really excited to delve deep inside the aspects of this game. So hopping straight into combat now, this part right here is honestly a brilliant way to actually introduce us to the actual combat system. And I gotta tell you, the combat system is honestly probably one of the best combat systems I've actually seen. It's not exactly the same as, other games, but it's also different than other games as well, because later on you'll see, I'll show you guys too, there's different stances that you can do in the game, and it's brilliantly crafted. It seems as if, they actually made it with people who do this. And you get little quick time events like this, but I answered the wrong one. Don't do the same as me. But the game's combat is brilliant. The way they did the combat is masterful, in my opinion. I think it's great. And you have the roll attack. Most of the enemies die within a few hits anyways, but you could tap triangle to break the enemy's defense and stagger them, press square to quick attack, which is honestly probably one of the best ones to do. And then you got guys with spears, which you'll see in just a little bit, how if they go to attack you, you dodge out of the way, then hit them twice, and they're usually dead. But it's still a great combat system, because you have, pretty much the same the same stances and everything. They have different stances, of course, but it's just so brilliantly crafted. And I gotta tell you, just the way the background looks when they did this tutorial combat piece just was brilliant. The leaves, the way they move when you move, look, I really had to do that. I could not help it. I had to move around and move those leaves because it was just so beautifully crafted. It looked so nice, and I'm really, 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 really looking forward to keep talking about this game for you guys and just giving my thoughts about it.
A fine parry. Save your energy. Good form, Jin. You're improving.
Need to catch your breath?
It'll take more than a child to knock the wind out of me. Now then, let's see you defend against a spear. Dodge my spear, then follow up with a counterattack. Good reflexes. I am vulnerable after attacking. You have a small opportunity to strike. Use it. Excellent dodge. Remember, dodge, then counterattack. You see, there is no weapon, no warrior you cannot overcome.
Thank you for these lessons, Uncle.
We are not finished yet. Jin Sakai, will you honor me with a sparring match?
I wouldn't want to hurt you.
If you're that confident, let's make this interesting. The first to land 5 strikes gets to choose dinner.
I hope you like octopus.
Very good, Jin.
Well, well struck, Uncle.
Before we eat, I have one last question. For generations, our families have lived by a code. Tell me the virtues that guide us.
Loyalty to our Lord. Control over our emotions. And
You know this.
honor. To fight bravely and uphold the legacy of Clan Sakai.
Those are your father's words. What does honor mean to you?
I guess... protecting people. The ones who can't fight for themselves.
You have a good heart. But first, we must show everyone that we serve our Lord with courage, integrity, and self-control.
You say that like it's easy.
It's never easy, Jin. I struggle with it every day. But we must set an example for our people by remaining true to our code. And to ourselves. That is the meaning of honor. Afnater Samurai!
So something new that I immediately noticed when they actually, upon playing the game, is they release something called standoffs, which means when you're walking towards a base or something, you could press the up button or the up arrow, whatever you want to call it, and you'll be in a standoff set against one set person. And I gotta tell you, at first, I didn't quite understand it. It tells you a whole triangle, and then like it'll tell you later on. But like I didn't know that at the beginning, so I failed it like twice. But then I finally got it for the last time. But I'll give you an example of what it looks like when you fail it, and also an example of it when you pass it. So when you do the standoffs, your guy will do his little stance, and then you'll get into a standoff against 1v1 kind of person. You got a whole triangle, and I did it a little bit too early, so I got fucked. And so you'll do this, after you do it, you lose the standoff, then you gotta do it, and then you'll be spawned back, and you gotta redo it. So you do it again. I don't know, I might have failed it twice. I don't remember. It was one or the other. So whole triangle again, and then I still did it too early. So like, what the key is, right before they attack, that is when that you have to let go of triangle right before they attack. But the way when they put this in, I've never seen this in any kind of game, and it's actually quite original. Because as I said, I've never seen this in any game before in my life, and it's really good. It's really good for this game. And right here's when I get it. So right before he attacks is when you have to do your sword. And now I've gotten it just about every time I get into a standoff with somebody. So, but yeah, it's a really good way to introduce this sort of combat experience in the game. It's really, really good. And if you see in the background, the combat when you're going against enemies is really, really good. Like when you're blocking and stuff, you can parry and you just a few hits kill them. And then this is cool here. If they're crawling and still alive, you could end their suffering by pressing square and just kill them right then and there. And it's honestly really good that they paid attention to this much detail. And I'm really, really impressed with what they did with this game so far. So of course, there's going to be boss fights in this game. That's quite obvious. And the boss fight that you first do in this game is against the main bad guy himself, which you will see why you come to hate him. But literally, you are going to lose this fight unless you're a hardcore player, which I felt that was going to happen anyways, because why would they end the game in the snap of a finger, just like that. Pretty much, he captures your uncle from the war, and you have to kill him. So, you do want revenge, but damn well that you're gonna have to level up more just to take out this dude. But this dude right here is pretty much in easy mode. He's not actually trying. So if you were one of those players, you could probably easily defeat him. But I gotta tell you, I'm not one of those hardcore type players that's gonna do this. So if you're one of those players, just props to you, man. Because let me tell you, this dude is a fun boss fight. His attacks are very, very sporadic, I might say. He'll attack you once, you dodge, and he'll attack you again immediately after you dodge. So you have to be dodging several times. And you haven't even learned how to roll yet. You have to unlock a skill to roll. And I'll just show you right here. It's a fun boss fight, I tell you. It is a fun boss fight. No, don't get me wrong, it is. It's a good boss fight to have. As for a first boss, but a lot of times people don't like the first boss to defeat him, but you know damn well you have to level up a bit more to defeat him. But right here is a good introduction to the combat sequence, as well as a good introduction to make the enemy character seem viable. And it was a good way to actually begin the game.
Enough. Surrender. Show your uncle how easily he can bring peace to your home. Save yourself.
So here's going to be the last parts and possibly what I think most of the game in a conclusions stance. So basically, as you see right here in the background, I finally got through the tutorial area and I'm actually playing through the game. And if you pre-order the digital deluxe editions, as you see, you get this nice looking horse plus this really cool looking armor that you get, which increases your health and also decreases damage. And it's a really good armor set to have in the beginning. And also they added features like you can play a flute, for God's sake. Look at that. You can play a flute. You can unsheath your sword just by using your touchpad. You can bow. You can do so many sort of things with all these new features that they've put in, and it's honestly really, really brilliant, and I really like the way they did it. And the map itself, as you see, like I will look at the maps and everything. The map itself is freaking huge. It's actually bigger than I expected it to be. I don't know. It looks like a little bit bigger than GTA, but I'm not sure. GTA 5, I'm not sure, but it's a pretty big map, and you're gonna be running all the way across it. I don't think it's as big as Red Dead Redemption, but it's a pretty big game. Okay, it's a pretty big map. I'll give you that. And the scenery, as in like what you see in the background right now, is honestly like one of the most beautiful things I've seen in forever. It's a really good scenery that they have going on here. And the way that you can like just free roam the world with an armor set and get supplies and upgrade your swords as well as upgrade your skills, it's really, really good. And I really do appreciate all they did for this game. And I gotta tell you, to end off this video, all I'm gonna do is literally just play the side mission. Or actually, you know what? It's not even a side mission. Like, I talked to this lady over here about a side mission, and I started going somewhere, and I ended up fighting some dude for a dojo, and I got the dojo back. And I don't even understand. It wasn't even the mission I was supposed to do. So there's so much stuff that you can do in this game, and it's freaking great. That's all I gotta tell you. So I recommend this game for anybody who owns a PS4, and that's pretty much it. It's a good game. I really suggest getting it if you guys are debating on getting it. Get it. It is worth your money. I promise you that. And with that note, I'm going to be leaving it off here. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you in my next one. See ya.
Let's go, Colonel.
Харуу чи юу болов? Очиж барь. Алдчихлаа. Хэн яачингүй. Тийш. Харахгүй бай. Чулаа. За. Чи харгу юу вэ? Очиж барь. Алдчихсан. Би бас очиж барь. Би хүнээ түр. Цамаа. Хашаа явчих. Ой! Looking for me? Here we are. Алдчихсан. I'm not lying. Remember when you said you saw that deer with two heads?
Yes.
The Mongols are everywhere. In a fight, they will surround me like wolves. I need to find new methods to keep them at bay. A well-balanced blade I can throw to catch a foe by surprise and finish them off.
It was just a second of time.
We make a good team, don't we?